Welcome to the Futures Lab. We're starting a new series today, How to Make Battle Cats in Scratch. Now, if you haven't seen the game Battle Cats before, this is more or less what it looks like. You control this cat base on the left side, and you have this income of money that slowly ticks up, and with that money you buy these cats who will go from the left side towards the right side and fight these dogs who are coming in the opposite direction. As the game progresses, you'll upgrade your income so that you can make more money faster, and that will let you summon more powerful cats. It's a good fun game, and I'm looking forward to making it into Scratch with you today. So, to start off with, let's just get working our first cat, our first type of cat. So we've already got this sprite 1. Now you can change this to a different sprite if you like, but I'm going to keep this, but I'm going to rename sprite 1 as cat. So what we need to do is we are going to, let's get a backdrop, shall we, just to start off with. So go to the bottom right corner, click on choose a backdrop, and I quite like the look of Savannah, so I'm going to choose Savannah. Okay, so we need a base for our cat to come from. So if you go to the bottom right corner and click on choose a sprite, this little cat face here, and then type in building, and then select the building sprite. Then in the top left corner, click on costumes, select a building that you like. I quite like the look of this one here, building D. Delete all the other buildings for now, so that you've just got this one costume for building D. You delete a costume by pressing that X in the top right corner. On the left side here where I'm wiggling my mouse currently. Then go to the bottom left corner, click on choose a costume, type in cat, choose one of the flying cats. Now here's going to be a cool little trick. I'm going to take this cat face and put it on the building so that we know it's the cat base. So I only need the face, so I'm going to click on all the different parts of this cat that are not the face, and I'm going to click and then delete them. Then I'm going to drag all of this. I'm going to, so I can either copy, or I can hold down the control and then press C on your keyboard. And then you can either press paste here or control V. And now we've got this cat face. We're going to put this nicely on our cat building. Oh, that looks good. I like that. I'll get rid of this costume for now. Alright, and then we go back to the code. So we've got our cat base. Let's rename the sprite in the right side of the screen in the middle where it says sprite buildings. We're going to rename it cat base. Okay, so now we need to program our cat sprite to create clones of itself that start here and move towards the right of the screen. So let's go to events. Let's click on the cat sprite. Let's make sure we're in code. Drag out when green flag clicked. Let's go to motion. Let's drag out go to X and Y. I'm going to set this to like minus 180 and minus 100. You can change these numbers to make them go somewhere else. Then we're going to go to looks. We're going to drag out hide, and also drag out go to front layer, because we want to make sure this cat is not behind the building. We want it to be in front of the building. Alright, that all looks good. So now we're going to go to control. We're going to drag out when I start as clone. We're going to go to looks, and we're going to drag out show. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create some variables. These variables are going to be local variables. So click on the top left corner on make a variable and type in HP. And then click on for this sprite only. Now the reason we need to do this is because we need each individual cloned cat that's going to be fighting in each individual battle cat needs its own HP variable. Now if you've played any video games where you've got health or hearts or something like that, health points, hit points, that's the amount of damage a character can take before it disappears, before it's destroyed. So now what we should have in the top left corner is a variable called cat and then a little colon HP. So drag out set HP to 10. We're going to set the HP to 10. So our individual cats are going to have 10 HP, 10 hit points, 10 health, 10 hearts, however you want to think about it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make them walk from the left side of the screen all the way to the right side of the screen. And just in case something goes wrong, if they ever hit the edge of the screen, we're going to delete them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to control the orange category. We're going to drag out repeat until. We're going to go to sensing the light blue category. And we're going to grab out touching mouse pointer. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. Put in touching mouse pointer into that 6-sided hole next to repeat until. Click on the white triangle and change mouse pointer to edge. And then go back to control and grab delete this clone. Put it on the very bottom after the repeat until touching edge. Now if everything goes well, the cat won't ever touch the edge, but just in case something goes wrong, if they touch the edge, we want them to delete themselves. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to variables, the dark orange category, go to the top left corner, click on make a variable, and we're going to call this state. So, and then click on for this sprite only. So each of these individual clones are going to have their own variable that tells them what state they are in. Are they walking? Are they fighting? What are they doing? What is their state? This is pretty common in video game programming to have a state machine that controls your character and changes their behavior depending on what they're doing. Okay, so we should now have in our game cat colon HP and cat colon state as our two variables. So we're going to get set variable, click on that white triangle, change it from HP to state, set state to click on that 0 and type in walk. So this is going to be the state that the cat will follow if they are walking. So then what we're going to do is we're going to plan for the future a little bit. We're going to click on My Blocks. We're going to create some functions. So click on Make a Block in the top left corner. Type in check for enemies. Now, that should make a define check for enemies, should appear somewhere. Drag that off by itself for now. Don't worry about that for now. In the top left corner, you should see a little check for enemies block has appeared. Drag that out and put it right underneath set state to walk. Okay? So what we're going to do is later on we're going to put code inside define check for enemies, and then that code is going to run here in the code when we want our cat to check to see if they're touching any enemies. Okay, so for now we're going to give the cat some instructions for what to do if they are walking. So go to control, get an if then, and put it underneath check for enemies. Then go to operators, and we need an equals operator. So look for this one where I'm wiggling my mouse now, drag this one out. You should have a space, an equals sign, and then a 50. We're going to go to variables, the orange category, drag out a little round state variable, put it in that first little hole, and then click on that 50 and type in walk. Okay, then we're going to go to motion. We're going to get out change x by 10, but we're going to change that 10 to 3. This is going to seem a bit slow at first. You can change that speed if you want, but for now, stick with 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to looks, the purple category, and drag out next costume. Put that underneath change x by 3. Okay, so now we are going to, again, we're going to go to control. We're going to drag out an if then. Now this if then needs to go very specifically here. It needs to go underneath if state equals walk then. It can't be inside if state equals walk then. It needs to go underneath, but it can't be all the way outside of the repeat until. It needs to go right here. Okay, so now we go to operators. We get out another equals operator. We get out another state variable, and we type in fight. So we have our if state equals walk, then do this stuff. And we have our if state equals fight, then do the stuff that we're about to put in here. So now we're going to create some more functions. We're going to go to my blocks, the red category on the left, and we're going to click on make a block. The first block that we're going to make is going to be called update thrown meter. Let me explain what this is going to do. So one of the cool things that you might have noticed in the Battle Cats game that I showed you earlier was the cats would fly backwards, like they were thrown backwards. We are going to create a meter that's going to slowly fill up over time, and when it gets full, the cat's going to throw themselves backwards. So move that define update thrown meter off by itself, drag out update thrown meter and put it inside our if state equals fight. We're going to do this 2 more times. The next one is going to be called get thrown back. Drag out that define get thrown back off by itself somewhere, and then get the little get thrown back function my block and put it right underneath update thrown meter. That's the code that's going to run once the meter fills up and the cat needs to throw itself backwards. Then we're going to do one last one. We're going to click on make a block, type in check if dead. This is quite simple. So drag off that define check if dead, then get check if dead and put it right underneath get thrown back. This is quite simple. If the cat has run out of HP, if their HP has gone lower than 1, if it's gone to 0 or below, it will delete itself. It has been destroyed. And then the final thing we need to do is we need to go to control. We need to get a wait 1 second, and this needs to go very specifically after the if state fight. It can't be inside it. It needs to be right after it. And click on that 1 and type in 0.1. Excuse me. So this is really important. Make sure that it's 0.1 and make sure that it is where I've got it on my screen. Okay? So what we need now is we need a way of making clones of our cat. So go to the cat base sprite and go to events, drag out when space key pressed, and right underneath that, go to control and drag out create clone of, click on that white triangle next to myself and change it to cat. So let's hit go, and here we go. We are making a cat. It's slowly walking across the screen. Now I'm going to make my cat a bit smaller. These are a bit big for my taste. So I'm going to click on the cat sprite, and I'm going to change the size to 30. That might seem like it's too small, but trust me, when we're playing the game in full screen like this, it looks a bit better. But you can change the size a little bit if you want. Now, the other thing that you can do is at this point, change where your cats are spawning. You can move around your base a little bit, move your base up a little bit. So it looks like they're coming out of the front of the base. That looks pretty good. There we go. All right. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to go to make sure that we're in the cat code. Actually, first we're going to need to make a new sprite. Go to the bottom right corner, click on choose a sprite. Type in dog. You can choose any sprite you like, but I'm just going to have a dog. And for now, I'm just going to leave this giant dog here. Because I'm going to make it so that the cats will fight it once they get close to it, once they touch it. So have a look for define check for enemies. Make yourself a bit of space. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you guys can see this. Once you've found define check for enemies, we're going to put some code underneath this. So first of all, go to control, get an if then, put that there, then go to the light blue category, sensing, drag out touching mouse pointer, put it in between the if and the then, click on that white triangle and change it to the dog sprite. Then we're going to go to looks, the purple category. We're going to get change color effect by 25, put that inside the if. Click on that white triangle and click on brightness and change the 25 to 100. This is going to make the cat flash white when it is touching a dog, which is quite useful. And when we see that, it looks like, this is a video game kind of short sort of sign that they're taking damage. Then we're going to go to variables. We're going to get out set variable, click on that white triangle, change it from HP to state, because we want to set state to, and then click on that 0 and type in fight. Make sure you spell it correctly because it's important, it will come up later. And then we're going to change HP by -1. Okay. Oh, and then we're going to go to control, the orange category, drag out a wait 1 second, but change it to 0.1 seconds, put it right on the bottom of all of this. And then we're going to go to looks, the purple category, and drag out clear graphic effects. Okay, let's have a look at this. So what this does is the cat, each time it walks, checks to see if it's touching a dog. If it is, it flashes brightly, it changes its state to fight, and it changes its HP down by 1. It waits, then it removes the flash, and then does the whole thing again. So let's test this. It's going to take a little while for the cats to get there. But what should be happening is the cats will touch the dog, they will flash white, and then eventually disappear because they're taking damage. Now, we haven't programmed the dog to take damage. Oh, well, they won't disappear yet because we haven't yet put our code in for check if dead. So the cats, once they hit the dog, they stop and they start fighting the dog. They start flashing, showing that they're taking damage. And eventually the dog will have the same code, so it will be doing the same. So the next thing we need to do is we need to program these cats to delete themselves once they have run out of HP. Okay, so we've finished so far with define check for enemies. Have a look around for check if dead. Zoom in on that. This is nice and simple. We need to go to control, the orange category, drag out an if then we need to go to the green category operators. We need a less than operator. Less than is a little arrow pointing left, and there's a little space before it and a little space after it. Space after it's got a 15 to start off with. So put that in between the if and the then. Go to variables, drag out the little round HP variable, put it in that first little socket in our less than, and then click on the 50 and type in 1. So this is going to ask the question, if HP is less than 1. What's less than 1? 0 or less than 0. Like a minus number. So then we're going to go to control, we're going to get out delete this clone. So let's test this now, and what we should find is that once the cats get to the dog, they will start flashing, and then after a time they will disappear because they ran out of HP. All right, that's enough for now. We've got our cats working. The next session we'll put in the throwing mechanics, whereby the cats can be thrown backwards during a fight, and we'll also program the dogs to come out of a dog base. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that this series of tutorials is going to be nice and fun and easy, and you're going to learn a lot from it, but this is not the best way to make this type of game. There's a few flaws in the way that we're doing this. So one of the problems that we're going to have is that in the way that we're going to be doing the code, the cats and the dogs only have code to take damage, not to dish it out specifically. I won't go into too many details, but basically there's a better way of making the code. It's also more complicated, which is why I'm making it in this simpler way, which I hope you guys will find fun and a bit more easy to do. But UJ has put together a really awesome version of this, which uses tables to keep track of all of the cats and the dogs, or all of the enemies and the sort of allied battle cats. And it's a much better way of doing it, and it handles the damage a bit better. It doesn't have the same flaws that this one will have. It is also quite complicated. So I'm going to link it in the comments if UJ is okay with that. And you guys can check it out. Otherwise, keep following this tutorial. This will be nice and fun. You'll learn a lot about how to set up the shop and do other various things that will be useful in future coding projects. And you'll also be able to check out a much more, a bit more of a better way, a better implementation of doing this kind of game in Scratch. As always, check in with City of Swan Libraries for all of the physical coding events that we're doing. We're doing lots of these types of things. Links are all down in the comments and description. I hope you guys have enjoyed this first part of the tutorial. I shall see you guys next week, and until then, take care of yourselves. Be cool to each other. We'll see you next time, guys.